Welcome to RidgeLife. I'm Tim, and today we're going to break our Ford F-250. Today we're going to be changing the upper and lower fuel filters as well as the air filter in our 2017 F-250 Super Duty King Ranch version with a 6.7 liter Powerstroke diesel. We're going to be using genuine Motorcraft parts today. For the upper and lower fuel filter, we're going to be using the FD4625, and for the air filter, the FA1927. Looking inside the box for the FD4625, you're going to see a few parts. We've got a HC3Z9A317A. This is a clip for the hose. We're going to see the upper fuel assembly itself, which is this cup with the 3 connections. We're also going to have, for the lower fuel filter, a top gasket, and then we have the filter assembly itself, and it's a cartridge. First thing I'm going to do is drain the water separator. Now, you should be draining that separator about every other tank fill up, and that's just to ensure that you don't entrain any water into your fuel system. The vehicle does detect water in that water separator when it gets up to a certain point, but I really don't want to risk that myself. So again, every other tank fill up, I usually drain the water separator. Here's our water separator, and this is where our lower fuel filter cartridge is located as well. It's on the driver's side of the vehicle between the front and back door, if you look just under the chassis. This electrical connection here, this is for the water sensor, and then here is the valve to open up to drain your water separator. I'm going to put the bucket down below the drain valve, reach my hand up under here, and I'm going to turn it counterclockwise. Once I get it counterclockwise, all the fuel is going to drain out of the cartridge. Now it will stop, it has a check valve, so once that cartridge is completely drained, it will stop flowing. This is the massive Ford Powerstroke 6.7 liter diesel. It is a massive engine with massive torque, and it does take some extra maintenance, but it's definitely worth it for the longevity of a motor like this and the pulling power. While we're waiting for the fuel separator drain, we're going to go ahead and change out the air filter here in our Powerstroke 6.7 liter diesel. I change this out about every 30,000 miles. There is an indicator over here that will pop over to red whenever it's need to be changed. I've never seen that happen yet. I'll show you a close up here in just a second, but you're going to see how dirty this thing is, and you'll see why I do it every 30,000. Right here is the dirty air filter indicator on the side of the air filter housing. There's an indicator to pop over to red when it's time, and there's a reset here on the end. You can push the button to reset. I've never actually had mine go over to the red. I usually change it out before that happens. It's telling you your air filter's clogged, but you're going to see how dirty this thing is even without that being popped over. To remove your air filter, you have a clip here, clip here, clip here, and a clip here. So 4 clips. Lift the housing top, and there's your air filter. And it is dirty. Look at that, everybody. Look at that. Looking at their filter here, it is dirty. This is the little sponge filter for the hole there, and you can see all of the, look at that. This thing is dirty. I would not want to keep this in the vehicle more than 30,000 miles, that's for sure. Again, that's my opinion. I don't want to starve this diesel for air. Look at the difference in these 2 filters. Here's the new cartridge, all nice and clean, and the pre-filter over there. And look at this, look how black that is. That is a nasty, nasty filter, 30,000 miles. Again, simple enough to change out. We just open it up. The black sponge cartridge goes in the back left, back towards the driver's side. And there's a little groove it sets on. Once you get on there, you just got to get the housing over and then be able to click everything in place. We've got our air filter changed out. Make sure the indicator is reset. Now it's time to go check our water separator, see if it's done draining. Our water separator stopped draining. First thing I'm going to do is remove the electrical connection for the water sensor. Once I've got that removed, I'm going to get an 8mm socket, start loosening up the bolts that hold the separator in. There are 5 bolts that hold it in, 3 on this side, 2 on this side. Once I have all the bolts loosened, the bolts will stay in the cartridge, and the cartridge will pop out of its holder, and you'll be able to drop the whole assembly, and now you've got the cartridge out. Here you can see how much fluid actually came out of the water separator. I'd say that's about 2.5 inches deep in this bucket I've got here. Now here is the cartridge. We're going to pour anything that was out of the bottom of the container there. Once that's out, we'll pop the cartridge off the bottom of the holder. You can see how dirty this fuel filter is. Again, all you do to get it off is just pop it off, and then we'll leave this inside our bucket. And then I also want to take off this old gasket material here. I'm going to wipe out the inside of the bottom cartridge assembly here. It is dirty. You can see all kinds of debris from the fuel system, and you don't want that getting up into your engine, that's for sure. We can see right here, this is the contacts for the water sensor. You know, the oil floats, the diesel fuel floats, the water will be at the bottom, and whenever it makes contact across these two terminals here, it will tell you you've got water in your system. We've got our new gasket. Just going to slide that inside the groove there. Get that all ready. Make sure everything's popped down, slid in, and you will be good to go. Now it's time to assemble our cartridge. You can see we've got some feet here and a guide circle. You want to slide the feet in the bottom, pop it in, and now it is locked in place. Once you got all 5 bolts hand tight and seated, cartridge is in there and the gasket's not pinched, you can start tightening your bolts in a star pattern, just like you would your car. I start with the center one, work to the opposite sides, and then you'll know that everything's seated down properly. You don't want to over torque these, that's for sure. I ensure the valve is closed, and I insert the electrical sensor connector. Once that's popped in place, now we're ready to move up top to the upper filter. The upper fuel filter is here on the driver's side of the engine. You can see the 3 connections. We have red, blue, and brown. Each one connects differently, so you can't swap them up. To remove them, the red, you squeeze the top, push the red down, and that will pop off. You can slide it off to the side. The blue will pull back and push back, and the blue pops out. And now you've got the blue off, and the brown comes up. When you lift it up, you have to squeeze both sides, and it pops right off. Once you've got all the hoses disconnected, you grab your fuel filter, spin it counterclockwise, lift it up and out of the way. We're stopping right here in the middle of changing this fuel filter out because I want to show you how I broke my Powerstroke 6.7 liter diesel. Okay, what we've got here is the in and the out. Now, these are the color-coded connections, real easy to get on and off. They're just a simple click and push. Now with the fuel line return, it's not so simple. You have to pop up the yellow or orange connector and then squeeze 2 tabs and pull it off. And this is where everyone, a lot of people, including myself, have broken their Powerstroke diesel. This is what the connector looks like for the fuel line return. You slide it on against a really small ferrule there. You lift up on this connector and then you squeeze these 2 buttons here and slides it over, and there's an O-ring in there that seats on that fitting. Now on the end of this connector, you can see that was a 1/8 inch ferrule that was sticking out, and it is plastic. Now your hose is just pushed on there with no clamp or anything, and what happens, you forget to push these 2 buttons on the side, and when you do that, you end up having to fiddle with it, and you end up breaking off that ferrule. Not a good day. Now the first couple times I've changed my fuel filter, you just had this connector on there. Now we had a fuel pump issue and my fuel pump got replaced, and when they did that, they went and changed the fuel filters along with it. And when they did, they put this clamp or this collar on. This was a fix by Ford to keep people from breaking these off. Now I noticed when I bought my fuel filter repair kit this time, it had that 3rd piece in there. I gave you the part number for it earlier. Again, this wasn't on this vehicle originally, and it wasn't on there my first fuel filter change that I did myself. And I'm lucky I didn't break it. Well, I did break it this time. Now here's the unfortunate news. Ford does not sell this part by itself, this fuel line return fitting. So what Ford wants you to do is buy the whole fuel line return assembly. And that assembly includes the injector fuel lines that run forever away from this connector. And it's $250 some odd tax and all for the fuel lines in this connector. And all you need is this little connector. So I searched on Amazon, and Amazon had tons of these things because everyone's breaking them, right? But all the reviews on Amazon was like 1 or 2 stars. And the reason was about 70 to 300 miles after installing this, the O-ring inside was failing, or the unit was just popping off. Chinese knockoff, I don't know what it was. So I didn't want to go that route. So that's when I contacted Ford, and they told me $260 or whatever, tax and all, for that fuel line. So I looked on eBay, and I found a company out of Florida, a diesel parts store, and they said OEM part. Now, you can tell the color's a little different there, but it sure has markings on there very similar to the OEM, and even this clamp on here has markings on it very similar to the OEM. So I'm really hoping this is going to be similar. Even the O-rings on the inside look very, very similar, the yellow and the green. So I'm really hoping this is going to last. It was $40 online, much better than $260, that's for sure. That was $40 total. You know, I think it was $43 shipping or whatever. So we're going to try this today. Again, all I got to do is push it on the ferrule, the hose on the ferrule, and we should be good to go. Here's my fuel line return. I've got my new connector, and you can see how small and fragile that plastic piece is. Now I got to get this inserted all the way in here, and then I'll put that collar on. I got to make sure I don't break it though. I want to make sure I get it all the way down. So I just, again, insert it up. Again, I do not want to break that, that's for sure. Please don't break. We've got the connector fully inserted now. Now I'm going to put the collar on so I don't break anything while I'm trying to get it on the fuel filter. I've got my new collar that came with my fuel kit, and there's a guide right here. It goes around that, and then I just want to put this one directly over it, get them lined up. Okay, the clamp is seated up against the connector, and it spins freely. So now that should hold on. It gives me something to hold on to, and spins so I won't break that connector off. We have our new fuel filter. Again, this is the in, the out, and the fuel line return. Take off this protective cap here. And to get this installed, I just turn it towards the driver's side of the vehicle until it goes down in the seat. It goes all the way down, and then I rotate it over till it locks in place. Now that the fuel filter is locked in place, I can start connecting the fittings again and make sure the red is popped down, slides over, pops up. Same thing with the blue. Make sure the blue is popped out, goes over, slides in. And now for the orange, or brown, however you want to say it. Make sure the collar is up, slides over, snaps down, and I got this a little bit rotated, but it's gonna be fine. So it is on there good. Now we got to make sure nothing leaks. So everything looks like it's attached firmly. We should be good. Now I need to prime the fuel system. Here they go. We have an empty fuel filter, both the lower and the upper. And how I want to do this, I'm going to hit this engine start. It's going to start filling up the lower filter, and you'll hear a lot of air rushing into it. I'm going to do this about 6 times. And hear the fuel rushing in. I'm also making sure I don't see any leaks coming from the lower fuel filter or the drain valve. While I'm doing those 6 primes, I'm also making sure there's nothing leaking up here on the upper fuel filter. I don't see any leaks from the fuel filter here. Everything looks nice and dry. I think we're good to go. We have everything checked for leaks. Now let's give it a test drive, make sure nothing cuts out on us, and we'll call this a wrap. Hope you enjoyed watching us break our 6.7 liter diesel. It wasn't fun for me. We didn't have the vehicle going for 3 days, had to wait for that part to get here. And it's such a small little plastic part to break off to keep your vehicle from running. We got it going though, so I'm happy for that. And hopefully you've learned something. That little collar that comes in your fuel filter replacement kit, make sure you put that on. That may save you a couple $100. If you like what you saw today, please subscribe to RidgeLife. We do all kinds of outdoor activities, hunting, fishing, trapping, livestock, homesteading, vehicle maintenance. Come check us out, please. And before you leave, if you could hit the thumbs up on this video, I'd really appreciate it. Hit the notification bell to be notified anytime a new video comes out on RidgeLife. So until next time, I hope everyone has a blessed day, and go RidgeLife.